Here, in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, amen. Good and gracious God, we give you thanks for this day. We ask you to send your Holy Spirit upon our conversation here. We pray that through the intercession of St. Catherine of Siena, we come to a greater appreciation and understanding how the Lord is our bridge to heaven. And we ask this entrusting ourselves to the Blessed Virgin Mary, saying, Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. In the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Okay, all right, I'm having fun. Cool. So, all right. We're finishing up this chapter here called the dialogue. I think this one is called the dialogue, right? Yeah, and then we'll begin the bridge. The bridge is like 100 pages maybe. It's a longer section, but I've heard from a few of you that you really liked her writing, but it's really hard and challenging. Here's what I've noticed of like the writings of the spirituality or the writings of the saints, and also the words of Jesus, is like there's an attraction to them, but dang, they're hard to like get in control of and handle, right? So that in a certain sense, like if the Holy Spirit's involved, it's going to demand, and the communications coming from the Holy Spirit, to get a grasp, an understanding of it, you're going to have to really wrestle with it. And what happens when you wrestle with it is it becomes a part of you, right? And so it's not a matter of just intellectual sharpness. In fact, so while I'm teaching these sessions, I'll also be reading on the side some scholars' takes on like the particular saint, like St. Catherine of Siena, and I often find them just incredibly uninspiring. Well, because they're looking at it as an academic, and it's like there's like it's almost like a huge gap between the speculative, so like what's being said, and the practical. There's like it's uninspiring. So it's just something. I'm just speaking from experience here. I'm like, why is this like this person is like the foremost scholar on this saint, and like I don't feel like I'm digging any deeper into the content or the material. So you know what I'm saying? So anyway, so again, I'm trying to kind of normalize. I think spiritual Saturdays are fun because it's like we're not reading someone who wrote about the saints. Like we're getting into the content itself, and like it is such pure food, and there's something special about it. And the goal here, again, we have to keep going back to. It's not like trying to absorb every point and recognize, understand, grasp, of what that point is in itself. Okay, I get it. That's still speculative knowledge. It's not practical yet. It's got to move me to action. Otherwise, it's absolutely worthless. Even if it's knowledge and it's geared towards the practical, I can get to the point with my mind that I understand it and grasp it, and I see, oh yeah, and there's some delight that comes from that because I'm satisfying what's called the intellectual desire, appetite, which is the desires to know the truth, and there's some enjoyment. But we think we're actually becoming good because we grasp it. We're experiencing that joy. So where there's a confusion there, it's like, no, you haven't done nothing, right? And I'm very guilty of this myself. It's like, the satisfaction that has come from the study and work, and like it hasn't made me morally good. Okay, so it would be much better if you did a whole module and you grasped one point and it translated and became flesh. It was incarnated in your own life in some practice, right? That would be a huge victory in my mind. It's like, it's not easy to make progress in the moral life. It's not easy to make progress in the moral life, the life of love of God and love of neighbor, which we're going to hear about the 2 great commandments this Sunday. That's the gospel for this Sunday, right? The older that we get, because we're so established in our habits that it's kind of like they're no longer little vines or weeds, or they're trees or habits. So it's like it's difficult, you know what I'm saying? So anyway, like managing our expectations around this. So we're going to get back into I think getting in touch again with what we were talking about last week. We ended talking about the flood, the river, and there's one thing about beautiful water, and just look, and it's relaxing, right? And it's one of the most relaxing things. But like a lot of people find it very, they want to go to the beach, you know, or to the lake. I just love to sit around the wonderful, beautiful, life-giving pond behind the rectory. No, like if you actually swam in that, you would be dead. Yeah. But I did, like, we get people coming over there to fish, like you'd be surprised. And so we can just sit out kind of by the fireplace area and watch. But I actually saw someone catch a fish, but I would not eat that fish. Okay, so there's something peaceful about waters, right? But there's also something maybe an element more violent than anything else that exists about when it comes to water, right? You know, the hurricanes that come and the damage that comes from the water. And if you look into the Psalms, the images that are often used for the difficulties and the sufferings of life are these raging waters of the sea, right? So she uses that imagery to connect us to is like how difficult this life is. It's like we're trying to navigate through, but these destructive waters are just pounding against us everywhere we go. So it's like, why is that good news? Well, because it's like, it's not just a moral a fault by your willpower. Like, there's a huge battle going on here. It's like, yeah, and it's like, it's so bad that you can't do that. You can't do it. And just thinking about, like, I like to do this sometimes. I'll just like our propensity to be interested in evil and wrong, all right, and the reality there's evil and wrong everywhere. So this is just yesterday's Wall Street Journal. So I just do this randomly, and it works every time. Look on the front page of okay, how many positive pieces of news here? Like, founder of FTX cites lawyer's guidance. All right, so that's a poop storm. All right, and so he's blaming everybody else, and like it's like if you've been following that. Dark day for Maine leads to manhunt. Okay, Z hunts for a villain in property bust probe. Okay, business is booming for migrant smugglers. And the best, long misunderstood, baked beans are busting loose. Okay. But isn't that something? But isn't that something? Just picked up the paper, you know, like from yesterday, and these are heavy, dark waters, aren't they? And isn't it kind of interesting? Like, what's our approach? Like, we don't. At one level, these are bad things. At another level, it's like we're incredibly attracted to reading about them, because you could actually choose a lot of really good stories, but then the paper would have to close because no one would buy it. Like, okay, so there's something disordered even in our own hearts, our attractiveness to look what's on the news when especially doomsday news, right? So there's a desire, there's kind of an inverted desire, like that it should be towards the good, right? But it's feeding off the dark side of the good. It's like it's almost irrational. So and we want to live in a society that like can get things right. Well, that's like trying to swim through floodwaters. well, I mean, this is what she's getting into. You just can't do it, right? It's going to destroy you. And so the more that garbage in, garbage out, the more that whatever I take in is forming my mind. Whatever's the latest book that you're reading, that's the way you're seeing things. I mean, like, it has a heavy effect. So if these are the waters, you know, this is the path, this is what I'm feeding myself, it should not be a surprise to us, like, that our spirit is going to become ever more discouraged and sad. So just a little practical example, it's an indirect evidence of the pus of fallen human nature. She talks about that. It's like, yeah, it's right here. I don't even have to go like, oh, I better go search 20 papers. I've done this many times over the last 20 some years as a priest, and it never fails. I just pick up the day's paper and I have an illustration. So let's get into, keep going into this. If you turn to page 58 at the bottom. This is just kind of connected where we ended last time. With sin there came at once the flood of a stormy river. Okay, that would be, so like we talk about their sin and then their effects of sin. So in regards to, with sin came the original sin. We know all of that original sin, the guilt, that offense is removed through baptism, but not the effects of original sin. And so with sin there came at once the flood of a stormy river. That's the effects. And so we still have to suffer from the effects of the sin. So there's a guy from my back home that's, is this being recorded? Okay, I'll adjust this story. There's a person I know. It's, you know, it's in a small community in the U.S. and that he and his wife are getting a divorce, and anyway, that he said that that they would be better as just friends. And first of all, I was thinking in my mind, like, Aristotle says that the proper trait of friendship is that you want to live with the other person. So that's an interesting kind of friendship. So okay, you have the divorce, but there's kids involved, right? And so it's like, okay, that can be, okay, we're forgiven and reconciled, but there's huge effects that pass on to the children, right? The stormy river. And so we can see that with everything in life. I can be forgiven of an offense, but there's still a stormy river of effects from that, and that I have to deal with that. And so this is the same framework when you think about original sin. It's like the fall of Adam and Eve, and then the effect, that sin being passed on, being forgiven in baptism, but the Lord allowing the flood of a stormy river, the effects of original sin to remain. Do you remember what we talked about when we talked about like what that stormy river is? What's it conceptually, or like as far as the structure of the human person, the anatomy of the soul? I can go over those quickly if you want me to. So the traditional anatomy of the soul, you have the will, the intellect. What's that?
Emotions.
And the passions. Okay, so what happens is that the will now easily chooses to do what's wrong. It's called malice. So, and wrong is, don't think of wrong in like this horror sense of like, I willfully, I, I'm inclined now to choose a lower good over a higher good. That's all it means. So basically, I'm gonna skip mass tomorrow, so I can get some more sleep. That's malice. I'm choosing that, and I freely do that without any kind of like, we see it all the time anymore. It's like, it's no big deal, right? With the intellect, then it becomes very difficult for us to come to know the truth. We can know it abstractly, conceptually, at one level, proper assertions about like what is true and what is not. But that's even, I mean, that's difficult and challenging just to grasp it, just the power of the intellect. And then in the practical everyday, like what's the right thing to do, the truth, because you can have a good will and just really be confounded and confused about like what's the right thing to hear. So that's part of the flood that we're experiencing. That's the effects of original sin. Our intellects are darkened. So it's like, do you find this difficult to what's the path here? How do I navigate this? The confusion, right? So even if I do have a will that's, I really want to do the right thing, the highest good, and then I end up doing the wrong thing, it's because it can be because, not because I had a bad will against it, it was just hard to like, in these circumstances, what's the right thing to do, okay? So very difficult, very difficult. The problem is that one thing we have to, we can have solid truth, like orthodoxy, as far as like being right on, but if we're not also related to human hearts and where they're at, then it's easy for the intellect to become like a hammer. It just crushes everything in front of me. That's one of the big things, like people get upset with Pope Francis, and like he's changing the truth. No, I don't. I mean, I don't know. As far as like, absolutely, he's just taken a pastoral approach to very difficult, very difficult heart situations, right? And so the temptation, it sure is easy just to bring the hammer to every situation, right? Here, this is the objective truth, but there's more to it. And it's kind of interesting when you get into it. It's like people who are like very, like this is absolutely right, this is wrong, which I would agree with that, okay? And then we just have to tell people what they need to do, and they need to submit and obey, okay? And then they're non-negotiable. There's a hammer spirit there, okay? I'm not saying that, I'm not like the truth part and the orthodoxy. I'm like that there exists intrinsic evil. Like, I'm 100% in that regards. But then they get into their own life where there's some chaos in their family, and you see them make compromises all over the place. It's just kind of interesting how that works. Okay. Okay. So then in the with the emotions or passions, the stormy river that hits us, as far as like the things of the senses. So everything that's particular. So like, I see you, I see that coffee. Everything that's specific, and that I can see with my senses, that I can imagine. Okay, at the particular level, that's what the emotions are connected to. The emotions, even if it's a good thing and it's suitable to us and it's right, my feelings go towards it, right? So that's the way God. It's beautiful the way He made us. Okay, so we have an inclination towards that, but now towards the things that are pleasurable, good things that are pleasurable. What am I strongly inclined to now? Way too much, right? It's possible. So excess. It's possible that you could be a person who would there would be a distortion here in regards to too little pleasure. Like, pleasure's bad in itself. No, that's wrong too. But that's not normal. I haven't met too many people like that. Myself too. I mean, like, yeah, I shared some of this with you about my, my love for cookies and sweets and stuff. Just a few weeks ago, of a family bringing over food on a Tuesday for the priests, and they brought each of us a Tupperware full of chocolate chip cookies. And so there were 7 or 8 of them. I was like, well, I probably should be eating those. Kind of pre-diabetic. I just found myself over there eating them. So that, and then I ate them all, but that's not the problem. Like, then I thought, like, well, those for other Christians and Father Seth's cookies are over there. And Father Seth, he'll notice everything. Father Christian, I think I could take a couple of his and he wouldn't notice. That's childish. I shouldn't do that. That's selfish. So I just found myself going over there and having a couple, and he wouldn't have noticed, except that I ate pretty much all of it. So, like, this is our struggle, right? And maybe it's not for food or a certain kind of sweet, but like whatever it might be. Just back home, so in the 1980s, there was tons of farm sales back home, and then like farmers were going bankrupt. It was like the annihilation of the family farm, and look, there was in like Marion County, suicides, by farmers, and then has over the last 30 years become a land grab, and that individuals in the community are just like more land, and it's like it's never enough. It's just like it's a voracious desire, not for the land itself, but for acquisition. You see, like, and you don't even realize it. That's what the kind of the sixth thing is in that regard. I think we all know that, like, the reality around sex and pornography, like, this is driven, and this is part of this reality. And then the other, and then, okay, so we have to struggle with that. And when it comes to doing the right thing when it's difficult, we experience weakness of will. Like from the first reading from yesterday's Mass, St. Paul talking about like not doing the good that he wants to do and vice versa. Like, and this is St. Paul, like, who's totally handed himself over to Christ. He really has, right? And he's battling this. So like this, we need to have a greater appreciation of the landscape. I think as far as spirituality goes, generally speaking, we're living from a paradigm, a mental framework of a denial of original sin. So if you deny original sin, and also the flood of effects from original sin, basically it comes down, how do I see myself? Everything's just a matter of free willpower. Like, I didn't try, didn't try hard enough. If I try hard enough next time, right? And so, thinking that we can do much more than we can actually do. So, some might say this is a pessimistic way of looking at the human person and the way that she's framing it, but it's really not. So, what she's not doing is going to, like, Luther's mentality of being that now we are absolutely corrupt. We're not capable of any good. You cannot perform any good that does not have some kind of sin in it, some kind of selfishness. That's what Augustine said. So that's total corruption of human nature: the will, the intellect, the emotions, on zero, right? And then you have the denial of original sin in itself. It's like, they're not corrupted whatsoever, right? They're all good. You just need knowledge, and to choose, and you have it within yourself to do the right thing with the right intentions every time. Okay.
Not only that, if I want it,
What?
it's gotta be, I said, not only that, but the denial of original sin would say, if I want it, it must be right.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mhm.
there's no reason to believe that my nature's fallen.
Right.
Therefore, it's gotta be right if
Right.
it's something I want.
Right. So it's, I mean, that, if you take the logic, I mean, that's where it goes. It's like, and so, what she would say that, we're not absolutely miserable, and we are but we are in a miserable state. So we need to have kind of a healthy reserve about ourselves, right? That's the way of holiness, and this all for her really leads to hope. So what she says, if you go to page 58 here, at the bottom, it says what? Okay, this is the flood of the stormy river, and so the next time you're traveling, and you there's been a storm and you're passing over a river, just take that in of like just the violence of that, and it's like that's the image of kind of like what we're dealing with interiorly here, right? That beats against him constantly with its ways, bringing, and what does this battle do? Brings weariness and troubles, right? So that's why when I have people come to me and like, you know, everything's great, and you know, like I'm doing just fine, I don't have any sins, and I'm like, am I living in a different universe? Like, no, I mean, like, there's no easy path. It's difficult for everyone. So it's like, what planet are you living on? I mean, like, if you're actually into this, you're experiencing weariness of like, with the battle. And, you know, some of our favorite, prophets, and think about Elijah and Moses, like, Lord, if you're gonna treat me like this, just kill me now. Both of them said that, right? That's kind of weariness, isn't it? And did you ever get to the point of like, sometimes, and especially probably like the older we get, maybe that's why we're here and the young people aren't. You're young though, okay. It's like we get this. It's like, I'm okay, God, if you want to take me today. You know what I'm saying? So, in a good way, yeah. All right. And so where are these troubles coming from? The world, the flesh, and the devil. The world, the flesh, and the devil. So these four storms are coming from the flesh. Okay, the devil brings his own work to the table. So we're dealing with our own fallen nature, but then the devil can bait us off of our weakness. Right? So we've got to deal with that. And we are living in a time where there's a much more heightened awareness of the evil spirit, being unbound from the evil spirit. I love this, where the things are going with this. I don't know if you've seen some of the opportunities and programs around, it's like addressing the power of the devil. And then Hollywood's taking it up. Like, I've never seen so many like exorcism type of movies out. Like, so there's a fascination here, right? But like C.S. Lewis says in the Screw Tape Letters, the evil spirit really doesn't care. You can be too preoccupied, you can be excessively preoccupied, or just not believe in him. It has really the same effect. This is kind of the issue I have. Sometimes I like people, individuals make. Are you familiar with Unbound? You've heard of it? Yeah. Okay. Sometimes I'll talk to individuals that's like, oh yeah, that was the devil, that was the evil spirit, like the evil spirit's leading me. Okay, there's truth in that, but like, if that's what I'm constantly like hearing from that person, that's where it's coming from, I think it's off the mark. I think the biggest, greatest battle is here in our own selves, right? Of course the evil spirit's working on that, but like, if if everything is the evil spirit, is it kind of just another denial of original sin? Right? Okay. And then the world. So because we live by the senses, all knowledge comes through the senses, we're constantly tempted, right? So it's like we're surrounded by this kind of news. And so all of this news and these stories, and when we get together, what do we usually like to talk about? Let's just be honest, everybody. How the world's going to hell in a handbasket, right? Let's count the ways together. Let's begin our litany. Our unholy litany. So there is something that's not bad to be, I think, critical, but like, why does it have to be completely darkness? Because there's something fascinating and attracting to it, but this begins to, all of these influences impact us, right? And I talk to the middle schoolers constantly about this, as far as peer pressure, you know. So that's the world, right? The external influence of like, you may have clarity and want to choose the right thing, but the peer pressure is so strong as far as my emotions and wanting connection and wanting to be rejected, I go with the wrong thing, right? And then it get to the point where if you have a generation, actually it's like the truth can change. It's like we can actually believe, we can embrace beliefs that are not truths, like, and that's now the new truth. So that there is no like individual, you know, God did not make man and woman separate sexes. And 100 years ago, you would never have to, like, as far as marriage is between a man and a woman. You're like, what are you, an idiot? Why would you? That's redundant to say marriage is the union between a man and a woman. 100 years ago, you would be like, duh. Now, now you can't take that for granted at all. And then there's almost like aversion to say that out loud. Is this being recorded? You know what I'm saying? So it's like the truth can change. And so many Catholics have taken on this perspective. Now, I think there's a whole mixture and a mess when it comes to here. Is like there's some reaction about like people or people who are standing up for the truth. All they are hammers, because in regards to like this is, you know, God made it like this. So if you stand up for this, you're immediately associated as a hammer. You're not a loving person. See, that's the other flip side of that. So, okay. So the flesh, the world, and the devil, and just kind of thinking about that within ourselves. This is what we're dealing with, and so, and we're being surrounded by, and the evil spirit, and so it can be we can feel like it's a very desperate situation. So what's the remedy on page 59 at the top? But I wanted to undo these great troubles of yours. These great troubles of yours. So I gave you a bridge, my son, so that you could cross over the river, the stormy sea of this darksome life without being drowned. That is beautiful. And you think about like when you're traveling and across states and you see the Mississippi and when these rivers are up and there's been storms, and it's like, it's scary to kind of look down and just see the violence of the water, right? But you're crossing over this bridge. So the stormy water and the violent water and the floods are not taken away, but so they're still there. We're stepping onto the bridge. And I just, even for myself, just like reading this and returning to it, it's a constant reminder of like, I'm trying to cross the waters to the other side to get to God through the waters. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, because I'm an American. Hell yeah. Okay. I can do it. And so this is like, okay, this is good news. It's like, I need to be more intentional, explicit about choosing Jesus and leaning into him and walking on him. And so I think that's a powerful invitation for us, because it's easy for us to just get back into trying to do the right thing, but we're flooded by the waters again, right? And we're experiencing the desperate situations. Like, that's not how God planned to save us. He came to save us. It's actually impossible that way. We have to take the bridge. And so that's why, to be Catholic, you have to be really Christian, because Christ is the only bridge across. Does that mean then that there's nothing that we do? Nope, she says. Well, okay, yeah. So on page 59, the last paragraph before you see the numeral 23, she says, "But my sons, having made of himself a bridge, for you could not bring you, so you can't bring yourself, right, to life unless you make your way along the bridge." So Christ is the bridge, but you also have to make your way along the bridge. So you have to walk. The bridge is there, but are you walking on the bridge? Like, I have a membership to the YMCA, and it's amazing, and like what you can do to transform your body, but I don't really ever go. I gotta walk on the bridge, right? And what is that? Like, this is powerful, powerful imagery that really can help us move in a healthy, exciting way from the visible to the invisible. We have to have this imagery. We are sacramental people. We have to have the outward signs. We have to see to go to the unseen. So like connecting with these images, which express truth, right? Really is powerful to lead us on the way. Otherwise, if we don't have the images, okay, God is, and he's beyond any image, right? Anything we can see, he's beyond the intellect. So he's not contrary to the intellect, but he's beyond the intellect to grasp. So how can you connect with what's absolutely nothing for you as a person? You've got to have the bridge of signs, the humanity of Jesus, right? That's what's seen. That's what's communicated. Okay, let's go to page 60. So the third paragraph down. So she changes images, metaphors here to the vineyard, and so we know that that's a powerful, very strong, present, divine image, because it's Jesus, I am the vine, you are the branches, right? So this comes from Christ himself. This was reflecting upon this line. The second sentence was a little bit of a wake-up call for me. Once the time of your life has passed, your will can neither work for good nor for evil. So like, once your time has passed, you're done. There's like, and we're talking about you're done for all eternity. Does that scare you like it does me? It's like, get your lazy butt up. That's what it says to me. Like, I need to, like, think about eternity. It's like, that has no ending. And this little time here is like, that's the only time we have to work, right? But while you live in it, but while you live, it can till, this is your will, the vineyard of your soul where I have placed it. So your will is not absolutely corrupt. You can still work. You can do some tilling, right? This tiller of your soul has been given such power that neither the devil nor any other creature can steal it without the will's consent. That's a deep truth there. So, no one can take away your free will, even when you're in jail, right? Isn't that what some of the deep philosophers and spiritual writers said, who experienced the concentration camps, like Viktor Frankl, and some of the priests who wrote Chiswick, yeah.
Or he needed.
He leaded me. That's a powerful one. It was actually in the prison camps that they discovered these truths. Right? Eleanor Roosevelt used that quote a lot too. No one can take away your will. And so this is also important in regards to the devil. The devil cannot work direct. No human person can work the way your will, because it's purely spiritual. No other, you can be influenced and feel like you're being forced, but you're never actually being forced. Your will is your own. And so it's influence and it's weak. And the devil can never work directly on your will. He can possess me. Don't remember, like, he can only work indirectly upon you, just like others. So here's, he knows that I have a propensity for these cookies, and so it's like, can he move forms in my mind towards eating more cookies? He can. How do I know that that's not coming from my own bad habits, my own fallen nature, and from the devil? Most of the time, you can't know the source of the cause. But sometimes you can, like, there is something more going on here, right? But he doesn't want to reveal his head. So just kind of keep that in mind, that like the evil spirit cannot work on your will directly. It's always through something external, something visible, something at the sense level. Now we can, because of our free will, we can get to the point where our passions are enslaved to such a degree now that my will, it's still free, but I can't, in its essence, but it can't break free from this attachment. Okay. The tiller of your soul has been given such power, this tiller, that's your will, that you can freely choose, right? That's what it does, freely choose. That neither the devil nor the Indian creature can steal it, okay? For in holy baptism, the will was armed with a knife, that is love of virtue and hatred of sin. So the basis of like natural law and within us, this principal truth, like it's a self-evident truth of do good and avoid evil. Like we just all accept that. It's like you can't really get behind it as far as trying to prove it. Like it's a first principle. It's a first truth. And first truths have to just be accepted, but they're self-evident. Well, yeah. You see what I'm saying? So there's one on the natural level, and then there's one on the supernatural level. Love of virtue and hatred of sin. So loving the good, doing the good, relative to a relationship with God. That's what she's talking about here. And hatred of sin, an aversion. So there's something in our will, before we even begin choosing, that it's directional. That it moves away from what would when we're baptized, what would displease God, and towards what would please Him, and to live in friendship with Him. And it's deeper than ourselves. It's a good thing to know, like to recognize, like how deep, because grace goes deeper than the fallen nature. Okay, you can experience your darkness and the selfishness and these wounds in a powerful way. So it's like we're absolutely miserable. There's nothing good. evil about us. That's a theology. That's a Protestant theology. And so basically, then God's grace just covers us up. No, and it's a healing thing to think about. Like when you struggle with your own weaknesses and your failures and just whatever misery in life, like, wait, grace is God's love, God's life is deeper than that in me. So I don't have to identify with the darkness, right? That's what she's saying here as far as like this, at this level of the will. And it precedes my choice, but it doesn't determine my choice. So so just like, say it's been days and I haven't had a good Starbucks coffee, and it's present right here. If it wasn't here, I wouldn't have an inclination. Maybe I wouldn't have an inclination for it, but like, or it would be just a very soft, weak one. But it's here present. I'm smelling it, right? And so there's an inclination, but it's not determining me. I have a free choice here. You think that the good is inclining me to it. It's draw. Jesus says, "I will draw all people to myself." It's a drawing, but it's not a forcing. In this regard, and so so grace precedes our free choice. It draws us towards God. And remember that we have to approach God, yes, with faith, but it's beyond the capacity of the intellect to grasp God in Himself, to like understanding Him in Himself. So it's beyond. So like you can grasp some things about God through faith and revelations. Even philosophy, like just like there must have been a cause of this world, right? A designer. So you can grasp some things about God, but you can't grasp God with your intellect and with the intellect in itself. The only part of but faith grasps God, but not the pure intellect. The only part of the person that's been transformed that can have direct contact with God is the will. So through love, I can have direct contact, union with God. And that's why, in a certain sense, it's like we begin by learning and using our mind to learn the truths and of the faith that are revealed. Then we work to try to understand them. Okay, so we believe, and then we seek understanding, so we can get some understanding about what's been revealed, right? That God is a holy Trinity. He made us for union with Him. You can never come up with that without a revelation, right? Then in an analogous way, I can look at families and can understand analogously how family works. Then I can understand like how, okay, I can see how this applies to God. It's still an act of faith. But this is why in the spiritual life, and if you're experiencing, maybe like when I was younger, I felt like I had more of an understanding of who God is. Like I could see, and there wasn't, and it seems now I'm more in the dark. Well, you're on the right track probably, because it's like the way to union with God, as St. John of the Cross says, is through darkness. Because you're for second graders, it's absolutely clear. They see, right? Oh, they have a wonderful faith, right? They've arrived. Well, no. I mean, yes, but no. Okay. We eventually have to go through these major purifications of, nope, that's not God. Nope, that's not God. Nope, that's not God. Nope, that's not God. And so, if there's a sense of that, and remember, everything is connected with her. It's like you cannot know God unless you know yourself, and vice versa. Like it's self-knowledge and knowledge of God are two sides of the same coin. If you're growing in your true knowledge of God, you're growing in a sense of God as he's good and wonderful, but it's a mystery. I mean, like there's a lot of darkness to me, even to my intellect in this regard. I can't grasp it all. I absolutely believe, and at the same time, because two sides of the same coin, you're made in God's image. There should be a sense of like I'm a mystery to myself. always been a mystery to myself. But like, you know, like, you're kind of in awe, and then you're like, whereas when you were younger, you thought you knew everything about yourself. So, and I think if you want to just take that to married life, that's one of the, you know, you talk about the first, let's categorize, caricature, you know, the first 7 years of like, I don't know my spouse anymore, right? We don't have love for each other, and so we're getting divorced, and so, no, that's actually the process also of married life. It's like, your understanding and knowledge of seeing your spouse is like so much different than when you got married, and there's this that you still know them, but there's a mystery about them, right? And that means you have to love to learn. Your love has to elevate to learn to love in a different way. Just like with God, it's like if I'm attached to this method of meditation or prayer, right? But God's wanted me to, okay, take the training wheels off and move up to something deeper. It's like, no, I want to keep those. I want to go back, and then I just go back and keep repeating, where I have knowledge, like, because I can't see beyond that, and then that's when I try to get onto the Golden Bachelor. Glory be to the Father, to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be, world without end. Amen. In the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. So next week is off. Then we'll come back for another 3-week module, and we'll begin the bridge. If you read the first 10 pages of the bridge, so that was 74 to 84, I think. Okay, yeah, 64 to 74. Thank you.